In our episode Revision 10, let us revise savings and investment function. The first very important thing over here is to derive the savings function from the consumption function. So let's derive from what we know. We know y is equal to c plus s. Income is equal to consumption plus savings. So from here we get saving is equal to income minus consumption. This is very obvious and this is very important for us now because we are going to derive the savings function. And we also know that consumption is equal to autonomous consumption plus induced consumption from our previous revision. So now here from this we are going to find out the savings function. So saving is equal to income minus, instead of consumption we are going to substitute this c bar plus by. So from here we get savings function is equal to minus c bar plus 1 minus b into y. Since y and y minus by can be written as 1 minus by. Now here what is b? B is marginal propensity to consume, otherwise slope of the consumption curve. So 1 minus b becomes 1 minus MPC, which is equal to MPS. MPS, marginal propensity to save, is the slope of the savings curve or saving function. Now MPS, what is MPS? It is change in savings due to change in income. And how do we write that? Delta S by delta Y. Since MPC is delta C by delta Y, MPS will be given by delta S by delta Y. And when we learnt MPS, we said MPS can be between 1 and 0, isn't it? So how do we write that? 0 less than MPS less than 1. So MPS lies between 0 and 1. So what type of values will this MPS take? Its values will be 0.1, 0.2, something like this. Generally it is taken to be 0.8. So if MPS is this, then MPC is this, then MPS will be, this should be MPC. MPS will be what? 1 minus 0.1. So this will be 0.9, 0.8, isn't it? 0.2 over here. So MPC plus MPS should be equal to 1. Now average propensity to save is the ratio of savings and income, that is S by Y. And also APS plus APC is equal to 1. So this is another important thing for us, right? Now the investment function. What is this investment function? The investment expenditure is addition to stock of physical capital and change in inventories of a firm in an economy. So investment function generally in a short-term equilibrium is taken to be the autonomous or ex-ante investment I bar. Now autonomous investment is that which is independent of income, and that is why autonomous. Induced investment is which is dependent on level of income. That is why we write graphically in investment curve is a parallel line to x-axis, and it is taken to be a straight line because we talk about short-term equilibrium. Okay. Then if you look at the savings curve graphically, now that we derived the savings function from the consumption function, this 45-degree line is the income, national income, and this is the consumption curve. Consumption curve starts above 0. These are the points that we must note because they are 1 markers. It starts above 0. That means where income is equal to 0, consumption is above 0, positive. And this we are calling as autonomous consumption. So there will be a point where income will be equal to consumption. That point we call it break-even point. Now if you look at the savings curve starts below 0, that is it is negative. Since we are consuming from the savings, this autonomous consumption can be from the savings also. So the savings curve meets this x-axis at a point. This point S is equal to 0. So at break-even point, we note that income is equal to consumption and savings is equal to 0. So these 2 points are very, very important. Then the saving curves moves up. This is called dis-saving. This is called dis-saving, and this here we will have saving, right? Because here at this point consumption is lesser than income. So we will have savings, right? Now, what are the most important points to note over here for revision is, as income increases, the average propensity to consume decreases and average propensity to save increases. Average propensity to consume, APC, can never be equal to 0. Why? Even at zero income, there has to be a minimum subsistence level of consumption expenditure, which we are calling autonomous consumption. Therefore, APC cannot be equal to 0. Now, APC can be greater than 1 when consumption is greater than income. Okay. APC can be equal to 1 when consumption is equal to income, and APC can be less than 1 when consumption is less than income. When consumption is equal to income, we are calling it break-even point. So, above the break-even point, APC is greater than 1. Below break-even point, APC is less than 1. Now, APS can be less than 0, that is negative, when consumption is greater than 1, income. APS can be 0 when C is equal to Y, and APS can be greater than 0, that means a positive value, when consumption is less than income. C is equal to Y, we are calling break-even point. So, above the break-even point graphically, where C is greater than Y, APS is less than 0, that is negative. Below the break-even point, APS will be greater than 0, that is it can attain positive values. Now, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1, and MPC and MPS cannot be negative. Why? We learnt, no, MPC values can be from 1 to 1.0. Okay. That means the values range from 0 to 1. So, what happens? This becomes 1, and MPS becomes 1 to 0. So, all these values will be positive values only. So, at 0.8 we learned it should be 0.2. Okay. So, that will be equal to 1. Now, APC and APS are equal to 1, is also equal to 1. But what we have to note over here is that APC can be greater than 1. So, it can attain the value, let us say 1.2 also, or 1.8 also. In that case, what will be the value of APS? When it is 1.2, it has to be equal to 1, isn't it? So, this will become minus 0.2. So, 1.2 minus 0.2 will be equal to 1. Similarly, here it will be minus 0.8, because APS can take a negative value. Okay, it takes negative values because consumption is greater than income. So, the difference between MPC, MPS and APC, APS lies over here. Okay. Another explanation that can be given to MPC, which cannot be negative, is because as income increases, consumption cannot decrease, because autonomous consumption is there, no? And similarly, MPS cannot be negative because as income increases, savings also cannot decrease. Savings will increase with increase in income.